This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Bulldog Plumbing Incorporated. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website in the show notes or give them a call at 630-313-9109. This episode of Area Code Batavia is sponsored by Zen Loft Collective. Register now with the link in the show notes to receive $20 off a class or package using the discount code AREACODE. Hey everybody, you're listening to Area Code Batavia, a podcast about what it means to belong in Batavia, Illinois. I'm your host, Richard Clark. Today on the podcast, I talked to Paula Mueller. She is the owner of Paula's Couture Consignment. This is a place that my wife, Jennifer, is constantly visiting and finding things that she loves. It's not a place that I frequent, but it is a place that makes a number of people that I've talked to extremely happy. It's a place that people go to regularly, where people tend to hang out. And then on top of all of that, of course, they come away with clothes that make them feel excited about who they are and who they're becoming. So I wanted to talk to Paula about how Paula's Couture Consignment came to be. Here's my conversation with Paula Mueller. So I was telling you earlier, this is the first recording I've done where my wife has been here, and it was just because she wanted to browse around. How often do you give people early access to browse before you're open?
Any day that I can.
Really?
Absolutely.
So if people call and say, I want to look around.
Yeah. And
I guess that's a thing for consignment shops, isn't it?
Well,
like appointment?
I actually have quite a few people here that have reasons for not wanting to shop with everyone.
Okay.
And so I also have trouble staying home until 10 in the morning.
Okay.
So I'm here anyway.
Yeah.
And I figure if I'm here, I might as well allow somebody who might want to come in and not be with a crowd that access.
I'm fascinated by that. I've never thought about that, but that is actually an interesting insight.
Yeah.
What can you talk about the reasons that might be?
Sure. So I know I have like one family in particular that has a lot of different medical needs.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband's ill, her children are ill.
Okay.
And so they still mask all the time.
Yeah.
And so when she comes in, I always mask for her. But,
okay. Yeah.
She often asks like, hey, if you're going to be there, can I come in?
Yep.
And I just, I try to respect everybody and understand that there's reasons, there's needs. So might as well let them in and let them enjoy their time and hopefully maybe make their day a little more special.
I like that. That's cool. Tell me about the space that we're in right now and what it means to you.
Sure. This is my home away from home.
Mm-hmm.
6 years ago is when I started this. And truthfully, I was super sad at that time in my life. I had just gotten divorced and really didn't know what my life looked like. I couldn't envision it any other way.
Yeah.
And, we all know her, Jamie Sam, always encouraging.
Right. Yes.
Always encouraging.
Yeah.
So she had always pushed for me to try and open my own little consignment shop.
You've been in town for how long?
I'd lived here 21 years.
21 years.
And so I just didn't really know what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Stumbled into here, which this space had been actually Batavia Main Street at the time.
Yeah.
2 huge desks and a wall that you can't see anymore.
Yeah.
It just felt right. It felt homey. It felt safe. I liked that it was kind of down the stairs and tucked away.
You like that?
I do.
Interesting.
It makes it difficult for people to find me, but I also think it adds to the safety of the space and making it feel cozy. And I actually had somebody once tell me it felt like New York City. Particularly the East Village. And as a girl that loves, all big cities, I was in for that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
What were you doing before you did this, before you started it?
Okay. So I did work for another consignment shop. She's not in business anymore, but I was the manager over at one on Eola and New York Street.
Okay.
So I got my feet wet there, I should say.
That's in Aurora?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Kind of knew what I was up against.
Yeah.
And I love clothes and I love people. So it was a job I first fell in love with.
Yeah. Okay. So you started this business when you were sad. Was it because you were sad?
I think so.
Interesting.
I kind of think so, yeah. Going back to, I guess, a word that means more to me than I realized, community.
Yeah.
And I just was looking for my place, my space.
Yes. Yeah.
And landed here And it was the first time in my life that I really got to make all the decisions.
Yeah.
All by myself.
And you liked that?
I did.
Yeah.
I do.
You're the type of person that doesn't want to work for someone? Is that fair to say?
I actually would have always told you that my husband laughs at me because I say this. I always say I'm a follower. And he said, you're so not a follower.
You don't present as a follower, no.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm learning to adjust to that.
I'm fascinated by that. So how does that play out?
I guess I don't really know. I think of myself as a follower, but I guess I'm not. I guess I don't.
Well, and maybe I have a theory. So, because this applies to my life, there's a lot of things I know about myself as a default.
Okay.
But I do things, particularly in my career, this is an example of one, that push me out of my comfort zone and force me to be a different kind of person because I know I need that balance.
Yes.
Is that what this is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I knew I loved fashion. I knew I loved humans. I knew I loved, all of that. I guess it's the parts where you don't feel your strongest that you always worry about and why I say I'm a follower.
Yeah.
Some of the behind the scenes stuff, legwork, I'm not so strong at. Hopefully you can find.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Oh, like the book works and the trying to reach people on social medias and
I know exactly what you mean.
The stuff that's
all the
exhausting.
business, all the running a business stuff. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, if it was just get to know Paula, I could do great.
Do the work and interact with people.
Yeah.
That's the good part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
I want all the fun.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah, totally.
Can I just do the fun parts?
Yes, exactly. What is the first time you remember feeling like you belonged in Batavia?
Oh, man. I'm going to go all the way back to, so when my kids were little, we were looking for good schools and somewhere safe for my kids to grow up.
Yeah.
And that's what I found here in Batavia.
You moved here from where?
Aurora.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
So I had Lillian and they went to school at Aurora Christian for preschool. And I knew I couldn't continue with private education. But I wanted that child to have a good home and a good foundation. So we started looking around and Batavia was the fit. I think this town is really good at including people and making them feel welcome. Yeah. It's what I fell in love with about this, especially the more you give to this city, the more it returns to you.
Yeah, that feels right.
Right?
So what was the moment then?
Probably being in the schools. I helped at the library. I was art mom. I stayed at home with my kids. So anything I could do to get involved with the kids.
So you were a stay-at-home mom before this?
Yeah, I was a stay-at-home
It's a big change from going from that to a business owner.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. Was it like a shock to do that?
Not really, because I had already been doing jobs. So it wasn't a huge transition from one to the other. Yeah. But it's still a shock. And then I think the biggest shock was going from working for somebody else where the business had been established to working for yourself and having to establish yourself.
What made you think that? You mentioned Jamie Sam. Maybe it was those conversations. I don't know. But what made you think this was going to work? Like we could pull this off?
I give a lot back to her support.
Okay.
I think most of my family thought I was insane. In
really?
fact, my oldest child said to me, "Oh my God, what are you thinking?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just really wanted to bet on myself for once. I wanted to take that chance and see if I could really do it. And I feel like I've created a nice space down here. I like the people that come in.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like the people that come in are coming for clothes, but also just to be here and be seen. Yeah. And that sort of thing. You mentioned the desire for this space. I mean, I've never heard that. I've never heard a person who started a business go, I wanted a location that was hard to see and get to so that people felt safe there.
Yeah. With the political climate the way it is now. Yeah. More and more so, I'm grateful for my space as we're aware there's somebody that's been in town protesting. And I do feel like because my location is not visible, there's no point for them to stand outside my door.
Right. Because there's not going to be people walking by or driving by.
They're not going to get any reaction.
Yeah.
So more and more I'm realizing how nice it is to be where I am and to be surrounded by like-minded neighbors so that I feel safe within this space and that everyone here also should feel comfortable.
Yes.
Because it's important to me that I have a lot of transgender people in my life, both family and otherwise. And so for me, it's really important that I give to my community what I hope my family finds wherever they're living. It's why I'm so passionate about everything right now.
Yeah.
I just feel as if this is my chance to hopefully make a difference in someone's life.
Yeah.
The way I want someone to make a difference in my family's life.
This is encouraging to me because, or maybe encouraging is the wrong word. It's instructive to me because when I think about making the community a better place, I'm thinking about influence, engaging the community. You're almost the opposite, is almost insular. That's probably the wrong word, but it's this thing where you're looking to help individuals who, in a certain specific way, without being out there up front. I mean, you do things to articulate your convictions and your principles.
Thank you.
And I think that people see that. But in general, like that, there is a seclusion almost to what you're doing that provides that impact. What's instructive to me is that impacts the community as much as being more seen or more like prevalent in the community.
Thank you. I take a lot of pride. This year's been hard.
Yeah.
Especially on all small businesses, I'd say.
You mean financially?
Yeah. And I just feel like I made a decision after the election that no matter what, my decisions were going to reflect who and what I am. And I'm hoping that the community comes together and supports us small businesses.
Yeah.
I don't want to see all the growth that's occurred in Batavia dry up and disappear.
Yeah.
So I'm a little nervous as a small business owner, but I'm really hoping that people mean what they say and will continue to shop like-minded, support small business, and focus on your town, because your town is really where things are going to make a difference.
Yes. Do you, when you say people mean what they say, do you feel like people are saying that?
I feel like that, yes. I feel like that. I feel confident in Batavia in particular.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know about every city around here, but
totally.
But my city, this city, I feel strongly that most people are of the same mindset, and small business does matter to them, and they are really rallying behind us.
Area Code Batavia is sponsored by Zen Loft Collective, where wellness thrives. It can be easy to set a bunch of goals for yourself in the new year. I think a lot of us are focused particularly on self-care and goals around wellness, and they can easily go by the wayside if you don't have the support of a community of people who are helping you to achieve those goals. One solution is Zen Loft Collective. It's located in downtown Batavia, and it's a vibrant wellness hub offering yoga, fitness classes, massage, and flexible space rentals for practitioners, creating a community where health and vitality thrive. Kelly and Emily are the women behind Zen Loft Collective, and they blend their personal experiences with professional expertise, helping women navigate transitions like fertility, pregnancy, childbirth, and menopause. They have a special offer for Area Code Batavia listeners. Go to the website, register for a class or a package, and use the code word Area Code, that's one word, for $20 off your first class or package. Check them out at zenloftcollective.com or click the link in the show notes. Today's episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Bulldog Plumbing. I don't know if you knew this, but Batavia has what is considered to be hard water. As a result, a lot of Batavia residents have a water softener installed in their house to solve some of the problems that come with hard water. We got a water softener soon after we moved into the house because we started noticing that there was a lot of buildup from the hard water. It was messing with our appliances. Our coffee maker started having weird flakes in it. It was strange. So we had to get that taken care of with a water softener. If you've had a water softener for more than 5 years, it's probably time for a tune-up. Bulldog Plumbing is offering a special $80 water softener tune-up that includes water testing and system optimization. So if you need a water softener tune-up or any other services, call Bulldog Plumbing at 630-313-9109 or click the link in the show notes. That's Bulldog Plumbing. Reliable, honest, local. Remind me what the what's the actual name? Paula's Boutique?
Paula's Couture Consignment.
Paula's Couture Consignment.
Yes.
Okay.
But I like the way it sounds, just like, hey, I'm going to Paula's.
Yeah.
It just sounds
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
That's what Jennifer calls it.
Yeah. And it means it makes it a little more friendly, a little more
like
casual.
it's your house or something.
Yeah. That's what it's truly my favorite. As you know, people write on my walls in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite ones back there was my youngest child's friend.
Yeah.
They had attended every library class together as small children. They were in preschool together. But she wrote on the wall, it's just like being in your closet as a child. And I thought, that's exactly
That's beautiful.
it.
I love that. That's so good. Just a really big closet.
It's a really big closet.
Walk-in closet. It does a little bit have that feel, doesn't it?
It does.
That's cool.
I hope so.
When you started this, how did you expect it to pan out?
I really wasn't sure. My vision doesn't always take form right away.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't sure what I saw for it. Every year I try to make one step where I invest in the business and I do something to make it feel a little bit more like me and a little more comfortable. So over the years, it's been like maybe a new dresser or a new wall painting. The writing in the back started during COVID when I was really nervous about losing this place and wanting to take a piece of it home with me. I don't worry about that as much anymore.
That's good.
I feel like I'm here and I've got a community. Now it's more about making it feel comfortable and hopefully making it a place that people, I always say, clothing first, I got to sell to be here. But I also like Saturdays, it turns into kind of like, I called it my sewing circle for a while.
Okay, yeah.
They don't actually sew. They just come and sit and they cheerlead for everybody who comes out of the fitting room. And that's what I want. I like the way everybody supports each other down here.
Yeah. It's almost like a barbershop vibe.
Very much. I get a lot of Hallmark movie or Barbershop, the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Steel Magnolias, I've heard.
Yeah, I love that movie so much. I'm a big fan. Someone from the South, I love.
Yeah,
Steel
there you
Magnolias.
go, of course.
Reminds me of my mom a lot.
Yeah,
and her friends and my aunts. So you said your vision doesn't always take hold.
Yes.
I want to know what that means because in my mind, there's two things that could mean. One is like you don't always execute on it in the way that you want, or it could mean people don't always get it or gravitate to it. Which of those are you saying?
Okay, so it's more that in my mind, I see it as like this perfect little boutique like you see in other stores where my husband goes in and says, what are they selling there? There's like 6 things.
That's what you wanted in your mind?
Well, in my mind, I think that's,
boutique?
I think it's this beautiful particular, but
really like organized and
yes.
intentional or something.
Yes,
yeah.
intentional.
Yeah.
And that's not who I am.
Yeah, it's the closet vibe again, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, the pants are all together and the shirts are all together.
And I do go in order. I know people can't tell, but it is actually ordered by color and sleeve size. I'm forever trying to straighten it so that it is the vision it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I'm drawn to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I am artistic. I'm not artistic in the sense that I can draw, but I like art and I like putting things together.
Well, fashion in general is kind of
so
art.
I'm drawn to lots of different pieces. So there's no way I could just do like a very sparsely decorated thing because...
Well, I love this idea that, I mean, over time, this place has become more reflective of your personality.
Definitely.
How has Batavia impacted your personality in this place?
Ooh, well, Batavia's impacted me in a couple of different ways.
Okay.
So one of the main ways, one of the first things that I call a real groundbreaking change for me was I was on, and it was a very short time, and I don't usually talk about it.
Perfect.
You always seem to get to those answers.
Getting the scoop.
But it was when I was on council for a short time.
Okay.
It was the first time in my life where I argued with someone and then had to sit across from them later that same day.
Yes.
And I learned I could take up a little space. And it was the first time that I learned that like people had to listen to my opinion. They didn't have to like it, but they had to listen to it.
Yes.
So for me, it was a huge growth.
I love that.
That I never would have thought possible before.
Yeah. Because my tendency is to avoid in general.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going to say my piece, I'm then going to avoid for sure after
Yes,
that.
exactly.
You know, I'm going to be like, the positive framing is mic drop.
Yes.
I've said what I've said. You can take it or leave it, but we're done for now.
Yeah.
But it is really hard work to be in a space with someone that you disagree with and have disagreed with.
Yep.
But that's community.
Yes.
That's living in a town and being involved.
Yes. And not always seeing eye to eye, but really being there. And I guess I liked that. And then all the volunteer opportunities, because I did Art in Your Eye and I planted on Houston Street, and my family used to call it voluntold.
yeah, that's the worst.
Right?
I hate voluntold.
They're like, oh, Mom voluntold me to be here again. But I truly believe in giving back. I think it's a huge part of being in the community you live in. Even when my child was a baby, I always tell everybody I put her in the stroller and garbage can, and we'd walk around, and the job was to, as a baby, pick up the garbage. I'd stop, bend over, put it in the garbage can.
Yeah.
It's just about cleaning up your space, taking a little pride in where you live, and wanting to have a say in what your community was going to look like. I think that's huge. I think that's really important. And it's something that I do actually really, truly think for some reason, and I don't know who to give the credit to here, Batavia does really do well with that. Better than I feel like in a lot of other cities.
Yeah. Well, with something that pronounced, the credit goes to a bunch of things.
Right.
It's a perfect storm situation, right? It feels like.
I think so too.
Was there a moment when you questioned everything?
Well, COVID was when I was most nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really new.
It had been, 4 years? 4 years?
No, let's see. I opened in 2018. So
18. I thought you said 16.
No, 2018.
Okay, 2018.
So 6 years
it not
ago.
even been 2 years.
No. So, to have that, and there was no breaks given. You got to pay your rent. You got to make your bills.
Yep.
So I was very fortunate to, one of the things I like about Batavia also is we tend to be mostly women-owned businesses.
Yeah.
So I was lucky to have the support of the other women owners. At the time, Six Cypress was down here in downtown Batavia.
Okay.
And she was very helpful. She told me immediately to pivot to doing online fashion shows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was huge, great advice that I'm forever grateful for Casey for that help and instruction. And she told me what to talk about and how to do it. And here I am still doing it 6 years later.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
But I was really nervous during COVID because I wasn't sure what that looked like. And I made it up along the way. I did a lot of online shopping, which was weird. I would ask you would give me your list of sizing and your lifestyle. And then I would go through and pull items for you.
That's kind of neat though.
And we did virtual shopping that way.
Yeah.
I had Carrie, who was all the way in New York City, who let me ship to her.
Awesome.
Because she wanted to show support. She was living in New York, but she was from Batavia, and she just was still trying to support her local community.
Yeah.
So it was things like that. I started doing those, I call them flat lays, but they're my lunch hour pictures. I tried to focus on anything that way that could just help me pay the rent.
Right. Yeah. That's good. What's been your biggest struggle?
Location is the hardest.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're feeling the trade-off of that.
Yeah,
then.
definitely.
Yeah.
Often you will find me standing at the top of the stairs waving like a crazy lady.
You're being the wavy man up there?
I'm like, okay. It's so funny. I can say, you saw me. I can say limestone because that's usually a good marker.
Yeah.
And then I say there's a set of concrete stairs next to it and a sandwich board. They will not see the sandwich board. But I will go upstairs and I'm like, okay, now I'm dancing like a lunatic out here on Wilson Street. Do you see me now? And I can literally watch them look up from their phone and then go, oh, yeah, I'm parked right next to you.
Yeah. Just go down the stairs.
Just go down the stairs.
Go down the stairs.
Yep.
Yeah. So have you thought about moving?
I've been approached a few times.
Okay. Being courted.
Yeah, I've been approached a few times. But honestly, I think there's well, there's an overwhelming amount of work that would have to go into rebuild. And I like my space. I'm really comfortable here. So, there's parking will forever be something everybody in Batavia wants to discuss.
I guess. These things, traffic and parking, I feel, I'm being opinionated. I'm not usually opinionated on these things, but I have opinion about this. It's fine.
Thank you.
Like, you're a big city person. You understand what bad traffic and bad parking is.
Yes.
I'm not even a big city person, but I've been in cities.
It's not that hard to walk.
It's a nightmare and is not that here.
No.
You just have to not be, like, late for things.
Yeah. It drives me a little crazy when somebody will say, well, I only stop if I see, that there's a parking space out front. I'm like, oh.
There's literally always a parking space.
It's just not that hard, but, and I think I'm worth it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. What, is there someone who inspired you in what you do?
Ooh. Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to go with International Women's Day is coming up.
Okay.
And honestly, there are so many women in downtown Batavia that I find inspiring. I'm going to go with my first pick is Jenny Zilke. I think she's amazing. I love following her from the little boardwalk shop to her Tilly. And how she got her own loan, learned how to use her own generator.
Tell people who she is.
Jenny is, she was at Wilson Mercantile. She still has a spot there.
Okay.
She's Illuminate Space. She does the candles for Paula's and for many other places.
Yep.
But I really admire her as a young woman in business. What a go-getter.
She has a podcast, right?
Yes, she does.
So what is that podcast? Small Business Sisters,
yes,
isn't that it?
Thank you.
Yeah, so everybody go listen to that. It's a good podcast.
It's a good podcast. Yeah. And then, of course, I mentioned Jamie Sam.
Yep.
But Lori Botterman, who works for the city, is super admirable. I just think that these strong women that I see all around leading a charge in Batavia that I don't seem to find in others as many.
Yeah.
And we all really cheer for one another, which I just think that's the best part. There's this rumor of like women don't support each other, but that's not really how I find it at all. I think women are super supportive of one another and really, truly, that's what's going to change this world is, I think, strong women leading hard ways.
This idea that women don't support each other comes from this idea that patriarchal system causes women to pit themselves against each other.
Yes.
So that's a real concern. Do you think that is not true in general or not true in Batavia?
I think that's not true in general.
Okay.
I really believe in the strength of women and I really like women. And I think it's a story that's been fed to the point that people believe it and it's just not true.
Yeah.
It's just not true.
I don't know if you mind me asking this. So stop me if you don't.
Okay.
Did your passion about these kinds of ideas, have you always had that? Or was there something about that period in your life when you said you were sad that caused you to be more focused and more passionate about them?
Definitely it came from out of being sad, although growing up, my mother had always pinned ERA yes and now pins to us.
There we go. Yeah, that's an influence.
I was just saying, I knew Gloria Steinem back in the day.
Yeah.
So I already had a strong upbringing like that. Not necessarily, it wasn't always exemplified, but I knew of it and I was aware of it.
Yeah.
I was not a strong woman in my marriage, in my first marriage, I should say. But then I think when you find yourself alone and you really have to come to just some decisions, and I decided I was going to like myself. It was just easier to like yourself.
Yeah.
And be who and what you want to be. And so I just started reevaluating a lot of things that I thought were true and realizing that's not necessarily how I felt about them. And
I asked that because I had a similar experience. So I was divorced when several years back, and it changed who I was. Fundamentally, it changed my personality. It changed what I was ambitious to do. It changed everything.
Yep.
And I think of myself as a different person. And so what I'm interested in, though, is like I moved shortly after that.
Okay.
So what's interesting to me is what happens when you make that shift personally, you're still in the same community. Because I know a lot of people expect you to be who you are.
Yep.
And when you change, that can create friction, but also, I mean, not always friction. It just creates emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely friction, I would say.
Huh.
I didn't I did move out of town.
Yeah.
So I did move first to North Aurora, and now I am in Aurora.
Right.
So I got a little space just because, people don't realize you're not that same person.
Yeah.
But I think the store gave me a reason to come back to the community where I did love, and I do love the people here.
Yeah. And on your own terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it definitely, divorce changes you to the core, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I'm all the better for it.
Yeah, totally. What is it about Paula's Couture Consignment that could only work in Batavia?
Oh, so much. Okay. I think in particular, there's an emphasis in Batavia on quality, but not overspending. I think I'm a good value. There's a lot of choices in this area for consignment shopping.
Yeah.
For everything.
In the area, you mean Tri-Cities?
Tri-City area,
Fox River Valley.
Yeah, exactly. So anything from, Goodwill to other consignment shops to even just discount chain stores.
Yeah.
So to set yourself apart, I feel like each of us have our strengths and our weaknesses. I do think that I'm a good value. I'm probably a really good value, one of the best, I'd say, in the area. You don't have to dig through racks and racks of dirty or broken things.
It's a little curated.
Yes. And then the other thing that works is if you know me at all, I'm a little quirky and I have a flair for being a little outrageous, which my husband encourages all the time.
Nice.
And I have learned to embrace it. Always liked being a little bit different. I never felt like I fit anywhere. So why should I fit in? I should stand out. And I love helping women find that courage. I tell them all the time, I'm like, women say, you can get away with that. I can't.
Right.
And I tell them anybody can do it. All it takes is confidence. And if you have good confidence, you too can do it.
This is a theme in recent episodes is like the idea of like the good weirdness that is Batavia.
Yeah.
And it fits right in that way, I feel like. It
does.
Yeah.
It does.
That's cool. What keeps you up at night right now? Obviously, COVID was a big deal at that time, but what about now?
Yeah, now I'm just, it's slow.
Yeah.
It's slow. It's February, so it's always slow. I have a lot of great inventory in, and I'm just hoping that people want to get back out and start shopping small.
Why do you think it's slow?
I think people are a little afraid to spend money right now.
Yeah.
Things aren't looking quite as healthy as they had been.
Yeah.
And my community, and I do refer to it as my community. I know I don't fit the LGBTQ plus by definition, but they are my community because they are my family.
Yeah.
And I do think that right now they're nervous. They're a little bit afraid. So I think that there's a little bit of hesitation, and I think people are looking for a spot. I know a few weeks ago, I had people as far away as Montgomery and Oswego just saying that they were just looking for safe spaces. They're just looking for safe spaces.
Yeah.
And they're not finding them in those towns. And so they're now searching out other places.
Yeah.
So I'm a little nervous that I don't want to see them hide themselves. I don't want to see us go backwards in our time.
Yeah.
It's really important to me that they know that they are loved.
Yeah.
That they know that there are people that aren't of that mindset. So that's my biggest fear right now is I just want to continue to see people shopping smaller and realizing that like your dollars make a difference. Your dollars, when you spend them in your community, they speak volumes to us business owners and to your community. I mean, that money just keeps coming back in here. It's important. It's really important that we vote with our dollars.
Everybody wants the thriving downtown, but you've got to support it.
You've got to actually step up and do it then.
It's interesting to me that your answer to that question was sort of a pivot. You sort of talked about the financial concerns, foot traffic, pivot into providing a safe space and but those seem related.
To me, they're all integral. They're all really important.
Yeah.
They're all really important. More now than ever before, I feel like.
Right. To you, what does it mean to belong in Batavia?
Oh, it means friendship. It means friendship. I've made more friends here in this town and I feel loved here. I feel supported here.
Yeah.
I like the direction this community has taken in standing up for one another and being supportive of each other. Even when businesses seem like they have similar items, they seem to stay together and stand together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I just think that's something that you don't see in a lot of communities.
Yeah. Why is that?
I'm not sure.
Or why is it here and not there?
It's a great question. I wish I had an answer for you there. I don't know. If I could duplicate it, I would duplicate it for everyone because I think I don't know. It's one of the things that I guess I feel like I have in common with Jamie, which was she always talked about like people want to be around positive people. They don't really, it's no good when you're a drain.
Yeah.
So isn't it better to be supportive of each other and to lift each other up?
Yeah.
I just think that's the way we all do better when we all do better.
Yeah. I'm interested in your time in the city council. I want to know why you decided to do that.
Well, so it was kind of funny. I was still married at the time to my first husband.
Okay.
And Jamie was stepping down.
Okay.
And she actually approached me.
Mm-hmm.
She had asked if I wanted to have coffee. And I was trying to figure out what I had done wrong. Oh no, what does she want to talk to me about?
You thought you were it was like, we need to talk kind of situation.
I thought she was going to tell me something bad about a kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
I was really worried. I was like, oh my God, what did my kid do? And when she suggested, because he had been a business owner in town, so she had thought that, it would be at least I'd have an idea of business owners' needs and stuff.
Yeah.
I was shocked. Never, ever had I seen that in my future. I had no political desires whatsoever.
Right.
But it sounded interesting.
Yeah.
And
was it a thing where you had to run?
I had one other
campaign?
person. So I did not have to run and campaign in the sense of across the community because she was stepping down. So council was going to vote us in.
Okay.
But I did have somebody run against me.
Okay.
And we did both speak. And I was so nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Robert's Rules of Order were right out the window because I couldn't remember anything. I was just busy concentrating on my answers, kind of like today.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But luckily, the guys that were on council, and there were a couple of ladies then too, went ahead and chose me.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good for me and my growth.
Yeah.
I actually think it led to my divorce.
Oh, really?
Partially. He was, I would say, not a fan of me being a part of it.
Huh.
And I was learning to take up that space.
Yeah.
And so I learned also that it applied at home.
Uh-huh.
And shortly there, things unraveled quickly.
Yeah.
So for me, it was good because I really learned about the community. I learned about how other people saw, because of course you only see it from your opinion.
Yes.
Until you're really actually sitting on there with all those other people and have to hear different points of view from all over the city.
What were you most passionate about in that role?
Oh, most passionate about. Been a few years now, so I was trying to think back. I really just wanted to see the vibrancy of a downtown.
Sure.
We talked a lot when I first was hired on there. We talked about how it compared to Geneva. I was not seeing it at that time. We had no boardwalk shops.
Yep.
We didn't have all these little stores.
Yeah. A lot of potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I was really wanting to see the growth of if we can get more shopping, if we could become a shopping destination, I truly believe that is huge for towns in general because you get people down here, you get people interacting, you get them going to, different events and seeing all the different things, and they want to be in your town. And then all of a sudden they're eating at your restaurants and they're shopping your stores and they're visiting your library and they're doing all these fun things.
Yeah.
I still believe in that. I still believe that's the answers.
So these things are complicated though, right? Like anytime I'm aware of a city council meeting, I watch them discuss things. I'm like, this is not like you're voting for a thriving downtown or against it.
Right.
This is like you're voting for different things that everybody is arguing is going to help downtown thrive. What was the thing you felt was like being missed or that you wanted to stand up for that felt complicated to people? But
I still think it's just breaking through that vision that seems a little stagnant here.
Sure. So this classic, and this came up early in the podcast when I was doing this first episode, this tradition versus progression, which I think both are good. And I remember leaning towards tradition in the beginning.
Yeah.
I still think that, but I may be being more open than I normally am here. But like, I think there is a tendency in Batavia to talk about maintaining the character of Batavia. I would like people to be specific. I would like to know what they're talking about, because there are principles in Batavia we've talked about here. Like, you can do a thing and you'll have support. Yeah. You can jump in and solve problems. That's good Batavia character. But I think sometimes people associate it with other things.
I'd say so. I think they get stuck in remaining a small town and wanting to differentiate from the other Tri-Cities and not maybe embracing real change, some change that maybe would be good.
Yeah.
You know, it's scary. Change is a scary word. Not everybody loves it.
Yeah.
It can be intimidating. But if we learn to embrace change and see that, the growth can be amazing.
I wonder if your openness to change is tied to the fact that you've changed.
I think so. I know so. I know I wasn't always as open, but getting a fresh perspective on things, looking at things in a different way. I mean, sometimes it's like having blinders removed. You think you see it, you think you're seeing it clearly. And then when you read something or you see it somewhere else, you're like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah. And you're doing that with this shop. You're encouraged, like you mentioned, like helping people feel like they could pull something off.
Yeah.
That idea of I can't pull that off is an aversion to change.
Yes.
Fundamentally, like I just can't wear different clothes than I normally do. And you're actively telling people, no, you should change.
You should try.
Yeah. Or think about changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fashion, I usually tell everybody, I'm like, just wear it out once and see the reaction you get. Because what you're going to end up finding is that certain people are drawn to that. And if you feel good in it, you'll see that, and then you'll be more willing to. And then all of a sudden, it's not as scary. It's not as scary. Just try it once.
Try it once.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Area Code Batavia. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, you should absolutely subscribe to the newsletter. Not only will we let you know when a new episode is out, but you'll also receive a weekly list of 5 concrete ways to belong in Batavia. Just click the link in the show notes. Most importantly, if you know someone who would love to hear this podcast, please share it with them. Word of mouth is the best way to grow our community and help more people feel like they belong in Batavia, Illinois. Area Code Batavia is produced by Area Code Audio. It's hosted and produced by me, Richard Clark, with additional production help from Jennifer Clark. Edited and mixed by Matt Linder.